From Karnataka, she picked up her onke, her wooden pestle. She gripped it in both hands. In the year 1777, in central Karnataka, almost every kingdom of the Deccan had fallen. The Marathas had taken some. The Nizam of Hyderabad had taken some. The new ruler of Mysore, Hyder Ali, had taken most of the rest. But on one rocky hill, near the modern town of Chitradurg, there still stood a small palayam, a chieftain's fort, that refused to surrender. It belongs to Madkari Nayak, the last Palegar king of Chitradurg. The fort was famous. It had 7 concentric stone walls. It had 18 entrance gates. It had water tanks that could supply 10,000 people for months. Hyder Ali wanted that fort. He had been trying for years to take it. He had not succeeded. By the autumn of 1777, Hyder Ali had blockaded Chitradurg from all sides. His troops camped at the base of the hill in a great encampment. But the fort, with its 7 walls, was nearly impossible to take by direct assault. Hyder Ali sent spies. He sent bribed informants. He sent observers with telescopes. He searched the cliffs for any unguarded crack in the stone, any small fissure where a few men might climb through. And one night, he found it. A spy reported back. At the southern side of the fort, behind the cliffs, where no path went, there was a narrow rocky crevice. A man could climb it from below. Only one at a time. But once inside, he would be in the lower walls of the fort, behind the guard posts. Inside the fort, that very crevice was guarded by a single soldier named Kehle Mudda Hanuma. He was a watchman of the lower walls. He sat by the small opening day and night, with a sword across his knees. He was a man of modest rank. He had a wife named Obava. They lived in a small stone house just inside the fort. They had no children. Obava spent her days pounding rice and millet for the soldiers' rations, using a heavy wooden pestle, an onke, as it is called in Kannada. The pestle was about 4 feet long. It was made of solid hardwood. It was heavy enough that handling it for hours every day had made Obava's arms unusually strong. On the morning of the chosen day, Hyder Ali's soldiers began to climb the crevice in the cliff, one by one, from below. They did it slowly, silently. They were trained mountain troops. They could climb for hours without making noise. Inside the fort, Mudda Hanuma had just been relieved for his midday meal. He had walked the few steps to his house. He sat down on the floor. His wife Obava served him millet rotis and curd. He ate. He stretched out for a quick nap before going back to his post. Obava took her water pot, and she walked toward the crevice, only to fetch the water that always pooled there, in a small spring, from the rocks above. Obava reached the rocky opening. She bent down to her spring. She heard breathing that was not her own. She looked into the crack. She saw the dark shape of a soldier, a stranger, a Mysore trooper, in armor, coming up through the gap. His shoulders almost emerged into the fort. Behind him, she heard the scrape of metal on rock. There were more. Many more, climbing up below him. Obava stood up. She looked once at her sleeping husband through the open door of her house. She looked once at the soldier emerging from the rock. She did not call her husband. She did not raise the alarm. She knew what would happen if she shouted. Her husband would wake. The man already inside the fort would shout. The siege would have begun. The fort would fall. So Oberva did something else. She picked up her onke, her wooden pestle. She gripped it in both hands. She let the first soldier finish climbing through the crack. The moment his head came up over the rim, she swung the onke with everything she had. It struck him on the back of his head. He died instantly. He fell back. Oberva caught his body. She pulled it through, very quietly. She set it aside. She rinsed the blood from her pestle in her water pot. And then she stood at the crack, perfectly still, waiting for the next one. Within seconds, the next soldier was coming up. He had not heard a sound. He emerged. She killed him with the pestle in a single strike. She pulled him through. She set the body next to the first one. She waited for the next. She did this, the records say, for more than 2 hours. One by one, sometimes more than one a minute, the soldiers of Haider Ali came up through the secret crevice. One by one, Oberva broke their heads with her millet-pounding pestle. She dragged the bodies aside. She stacked them. The pile grew. Different accounts give different numbers. Some say 60 soldiers. Some say 100. Some say more. What is certain is that for hours, Haider Ali's elite infiltration force kept disappearing into the same small rock crevice, and not one of them ever came out. The commanders waiting at the bottom assumed they were getting inside. They sent more men up. They sent their best men up. None of them returned. Late in the afternoon, Mudda Hanuma woke up. He stretched. He realized he had slept past his return. He went outside to find his wife. He turned the corner of his house and saw the dirt pathway. He saw the bodies. Dozens of them. He saw his wife standing at the crack, pestle in hand, breathing heavily, blood on her arms, blood on the floor, blood on the wall behind her. She did not look up at him. She only said, "Keep watching. There are more." Mudda Hanuma ran. He ran to the upper walls. He told the captain. The captain called the alarm. The fort came alive. The other Palayam troops poured into the lower walls. By the time they reached the crack, Oberva had stopped. She had simply slid down against the wall. She was alive. She was unhurt. But the strength to lift the pestle, finally, had run out of her. Haider Ali's spies discovered the failed infiltration the next morning, and the secret of the fort's hidden weakness was lost. Haider Ali eventually took the fort some months later, by other means. But the story of Oberva, the wife of an ordinary watchman, the cook of millet rotis, the woman with the wooden pestle, spread across Karnataka like a song. She was given the name Onke Oberva. Onke, the pestle. She was made a folk hero before she was 40. A small statue of her, standing beside the rock crevice with her pestle raised, was erected near the fort. Her real wooden pestle, kept by her family, eventually made its way to a glass case in the small museum of Chitradurg. You can see it there today. The wood is dark. It is plain. It looks like nothing special. But Karnataka has not forgotten what a quiet housewife did with it on one afternoon in 1777, when her husband was sleeping and her country was on the edge of falling. Tomorrow's story comes from another corner of India. Subscribe to walk with us through the folklore of every region, in your language.